Why are we so certain that the Hebrew language is related profoundly and essentially to the laws of nature and creation? What is the nature of the relationship between thought, mathematics, and the Hebrew language? And of what importance is it? These are cardinal points in understanding the findings that appear later in this video. In his untiring efforts to understand and decipher the essence of the universe, man seeks to identify regular, eternal patterns that operate within the reality revealed to him. Underlying this process is man's thought, the unique ability that distinguishes the human being from all other creatures. Thought enables him to understand the world of activity in which he lives, and to identify the laws that dictate the workings of nature. And what is the basis of this thought? Thought began to develop the moment man began to make calculations, to count objects, days, to carry out mathematical activities, and on the basis of these, to learn, to discover, and to develop mathematical laws. That is to say, complex thought, which enables man to understand the laws of nature, derives directly from pure mathematics and is dependent on it. Mathematical precision is an art through which the law-like regularity, order, and beauty of nature are revealed. The logic embodied in this art has already been discovered by the ancients, and ever since, generations of mankind have been working diligently to develop and refine it. Nonetheless, mathematics alone is not enough for man to fully utilize his ability to understand the universe. We wish not only to observe the laws of nature, we wish to understand them in a way that will confer meaning and allow us to learn about our own lives through them. For this purpose, we must define the laws of nature and give them verbal expression. In other words, there is no point in human knowledge without language which is capable of explaining and elucidating the mathematical laws or describe and analyze the essence of the universe. Only language can express the constitutive realization that the whole universe is steeped in eternal mystery, and it is not understood how it began or will end, if at all. Therefore, the synthesis between human thought, mathematics, and language has a tremendous potential to advance man in his efforts to study the laws of nature. Composition of the matrix. To study the relationship between the Hebrew language and mathematics and to understand its significances, we shall define a mathematical matrix. The matrix, based on a simple calculation, will reveal to us order and patterns related to the numerical equivalent value, gematria, of various Hebrew and biblical phrases, and allow us to contemplate the meaning and implications of this. It will reveal to us the wondrous numerical principle underlying human thought, the relationship between the various phrases in Hebrew and their esoteric meaning. We begin the construction of the matrix from a basic column of 10 rows, where in each row we put the digit 1. We add a column on the left side, and in each row we mark down the sum of the digits in the previous column. In the first row of the second column, the digit obtained will be 1. 0 plus 1 equals 1. In the second row, 2. 1 plus 1 equals 2. In the third row, 3. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, etc. In the second column are the digits from 1 to 10. We now add the next column, where again each number is the sum of the numbers in the rows above it, in the previous column. The same rule will always be preserved. Each number is the sum of the preceding rows in the column above it. According to this rule, we can add more columns and infinitely expand the matrix. For instance, here is how a matrix of 10 columns will look. For example, the number 717, located in the 8th row of the 7th column, is the sum of the first 8 rows in the 6th column. 1 plus 6 plus 21 plus 56 plus 126 plus 252 plus 462 plus 792. It is important to remember If the sum is greater than 1,000, we use the method of reduction used in gematria, whereby the thousandth digit is added to the unit's position, according to the principle that Aleph, 1000, returns to Aleph, 1. Instead of 1716, we will write 717, 716 plus 1, since the thousand digit 1 moves to join the units, and so 716 plus 1 equals to 717. We have only begun to construct the matrix, and we have already reached a preliminary finding. One can see that a diagonal is formed at the intersection of rows and columns, marked in pink, consisting of unique numbers that appear only once, and it divides the matrix symmetrically. Later on, we shall see that the diagonal is of great importance, and it will serve as a central axis in our calculations. One may observe that all the other digits and numbers are a mirror image of rows and columns. In other words, the numbers that appear in row 6 from right to left will also appear in column 6 from top to bottom. Each number appears twice in the matrix on both sides of the diagonal. Now, let's see the appearance of the word Shabbat, numerical value 702. In the 20th row and the 20th column of the matrix, the number 702 appears. This is the numerical equivalent of the word Shabbat, highlighted in yellow. As we can see, Shabbat 702 is sitting on a crown of numbers whose 3 digits are identical. Among them are 111, the numerical equivalent of the letter Aleph; 222, the numerical value of Barech, bless; 333, the numerical value of snow, sheleg; and 444, damat, and so on. The appearance of the number 111, Aleph, in the 22nd slot in the diagonal. Further evidence of the law-like regularity found in the matrix, which connects the laws of mathematics to the Hebrew letters, we find in the appearance of number 111, Aleph, which in slot 22 along the main diagonal. Since there are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, the appearance of the first letter Aleph in this location represents a sort of closure, which reflects the synthesis of the numbers and letters. If we follow the 22 letters from Aleph to Tav, we realize that it develops from Aleph to Aleph, in other words, from 1 to 111. The appearance of the 3 patriarchs. The God of Israel is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. These 3 generations, the 3 patriarchs, are represented in rows 20, 21, and 22. And indeed, the matrix reveals a new phenomena starting from Abraham, the 20th row. For the first time, the word damat, image, 444, appears at the intersection of row 20 and column 20, Abraham in the image of God. It is also interesting to learn that in row 7, which may represent Enoch, 7th generation since Adam, we find the numerical equivalent values of words such as chayai or koach, power or the life, 28, chanoch, Enoch, 84, hahar, the mountain, 210, and nativ, path, 462, which also alludes to 231, Rala, gates. 462 equals to 231 double 2. The 3 patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, presented in rows 20, 21, and 22, and by the letters Resh, Shin, Taf. In these rows and columns, some very interesting findings are revealed. First, it is apparent that at the intersection of these rows and columns, there appears a particularly large concentration of new numbers with 3 identical digits, e.g., 222, 333, 444, 555, and 666. These numbers on the bottom left side of the matrix are highlighted in different colors. Secondly, In row 20, Abraham, we find the numerical equivalent values of phrases like Hahar, the mountain, 210, Israel, Israel, 541, Moshe, Moses, 345, Shabbat, 702, and Barech, bless, 222. Similarly, in line 21, Isaac, we find the numerical equivalent values of phrases like Shiv'at, seventh or swear, 772, Gvura, courage, 216, Chesed, mercy, 72, and Panim, face, 180. And in line 22, Jacob, the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, Tav, we find the numerical equivalent values of the word bara, created, 253, which confirms the notion that the 22 letters were created first. We find the ineffable name Yehovah, 26, Emet, truth, 441, and Aleph, 111, which completes 22 rows and 22 columns. The appearance of 111 Aleph in the last location represents a sort of closure which reflects the synthesis of numbers. 22 over 22 equals 484, the root word padat, meaning redemption of the soul or redemption of knowledge, chokhmah, from the crown, keter, by using the language, the 22 Hebrew letters. Let's extend the matrix even more into 27 columns and see the appearance of the pattern of a 6-branch menorah. In order to clarify, we shall mark the numbers with 3 identical digits, 111 in black, 222 in brown, 444 in green, until 999 in blue. Now, let's mark them all in light blue. We can already see the natural accumulation of these unique numbers in the bottom left corner, while the word Shabbat, number 702, highlighted in yellow, appears 6 times adjacent to the group of numbers with 3 identical digits, separating them from the random numbers on the white background. The Shabbat rests on what appears to be a 6-branch menorah, while the center branch, the pink diagonal, points towards the first letter Aleph and the beginning of numbers. When we expand the matrix into 37 columns, we find that the pattern repeats, and the menorah is included within even larger menorah. From a different perspective, we can see how the field formed by 22 numbers or letters enters or overlaps the unique triangular field of numbers with 3 identical digits, marked in light blue. This occurs in rows 20, 21, 22, presented by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, letters Resh, Shin, Tav, Reshet, net. It is easy to recognize the formation of a menorah with 6 columns of Shabbat, standing as 6 lights separating the square into 2 different mathematical fields. The white triangular field of random numbers with 3 different digits, and the colored triangular field of numbers with 3 identical digits. And these somehow gather naturally in the same area. This is a unique phenomena which bears a metaphorical meaning and illustrates the Shabbat lights separating the secular from the sanctity. Perhaps it is now understood why there is no need to light fire on Shabbat. It seems that the Shabbat enlightens our mind by itself. It shines naturally, symbolically, it is mathematically correct and eternally true. The menorah is a mathematical symbol presenting a simple basic equation. This is a mathematical equation illustrated organically as a 3-dimensional picture, scientifically and computationally correct. And it reveals the significance of the menorah, which has remained in our hands today in shape only. The matrix offers a natural mathematical and visual explanation for the connection between the menorah and the 22 letters, the patriarchs, and Shabbat. This three-dimensional hologram further emphasizes the direct relationship between mathematics, the Hebrew language, human thought, and the laws of nature. Let's see the evolution of this simple matrix based on 1 plus 1 plus 1. We stopped after 37 rows and columns, but the matrix continues to infinity, and the square 37 on 37, as we shall see, becomes a fractal. When we expand the matrix to 111 columns, we see that the menorah appears repeatedly in cycles of 37 columns. We can see more squares being formed over and over again. Each one is 37 on 37, and the diagonal marked in pink divides the area symmetrically, so the rows on its right side have the same numbers as the columns above it, and the rows on its left side have the same numbers as the columns under it. 37 on 37 becomes a continuance pattern. This matrix is the visual side of mathematics, seems to be the scientific and mathematical offering of Hevel, the son of Adam, who used to sit with God. Yoshev Ohalim equals to Yoshev Elohim. Hevel Havalim Hakol Hevel. It is my contention that every cycle of 37 columns is in effect a hall or a palace, Heichal, which conforms to the Kabbalah. The menorah appears repeatedly in endless halls or palaces, in the manner of a fractal. We learn from this that the shape of the menorah did not arise from replication or drawing of a tool that is merely useful, but the menorah is a natural symbol underlying the laws of mathematics, language, and human thought. We are witness to a 3D simulation of a number theory, a unique spectacle, woven naturally and organically, illustrated without human intervention, by the simple mathematical act of adding up numbers in a column. We observe a 3D hologram of the evolution of natural numbers, a 3D model of intelligent mind, of nature itself forming a matrix with symbolic meanings. It starts from 1, the source of letters and numbers, and continues to show the distribution of their growing quantities, symmetrically forming a mirror image on both sides of the diagonal, while only the holes along the diagonal stand out in their uniqueness and oneness, meaning that only they appear only once. This sight is as true and ancient as the Hebrew language and the images it projects. Let's look now at the seventh hall. The seventh day, temple or palace, is defined by columns of Shabbat 702, marked in yellow. They stand as a partial wall on both sides of the palace, as a shield before the Ark of Testimony, Edut, Ed, equals to 74. The Shabbat wall enclose and define a unique zone where 3 additional Shabbat pillars stand guarding an entrance to a hidden space surrounded by witnesses. In Hebrew, the word witness, Ed, equals 74, and we can clearly see the row and column of sequential 74, marked in brown, standing witnessing the unique scene, organically woven by natural numbers that move according to a simple equation of adding numbers. In this Ark of Testimony, witnesses, we'll find all the numbers with 3 identical digits: 111 marked in black, 222 in brown, 333 in orange, 444 in green, 555 in purple, 666 in light green, 777 in light blue, 888 in gray, 999 in blue. But the uniqueness of the seventh day, Shabbat, is that for the first time these 9 numbers with 3 identical digits appear in the front line facing the Shabbat zone and scenery. This symbolic scenery is a result of a mathematical creative mind of intelligent designer, of nature itself, that is capable of illustrating its rules over many layers of meaning. Hevel Havalim, Hakol Hevel, 37. The first hall illustrates the offering of Hevel, 37, where we find the 22 letters, the names of Adam, Chanoch, Moshe, Israel, Yehovah, Shabbat, and the menorah. And the seventh hall naturally describes the Ark of Testimony and the Temple of Shabbat. Inside the seventh palace, we find Shabbat, 702, Ark of Testimony, Ed, Witness, 74, Anochi, 81, Image, Damat, 444, Aleph, 111, Covenant, Brit, 612, Courage, Gvura, 216. The numbers marked in blue are 999, the gematria value of Sar Tzvaot, and the areas painted in blue consist only of 999, which naturally gather in the triangular islands, like an army of letters, the literal meaning of Sar Tzvaot, and the dominant force in this matrix. In my opinion, all the disclosures presented so far clearly confirm my contention as to the existence of a unique relationship between the Hebrew language, mathematics, nature, and human thought, including various symbols recurring in human culture. This proves, of course, the unique potential found in the systematic study of the Hebrew language and of the calculations stemming from it. Now, having recognized this potential, we will continue to search for additional conclusions. To this end, let us examine one of the most profound founding myths in Western thought, Garden of Eden, or Paradise.